Nicholas Jackson has been that one player for Chelsea. A striker who has failed to meet the necessary requirements to play for Chelsea Football Club, underperforming his goal contribution in his first season, and Jackson has come under sharp scrutiny. Nicholas Jackson is just not that player. Jackson, a player who a lot of Chelsea fans had hoped that probably this season it would have been a breakthrough season for him. Jackson has failed to impress. Jackson has really costed Chelsea in cup games, in league games, and even in games where Chelsea created opportunities where Chelsea was supposed to score and position themselves in better areas where they could look to even win the games where they were the strongest. Playing the ball to the final third has always been the problem. Chelsea might pass the ball, Chelsea might dominate teams, Chelsea might do everything during build-up and progression, but when it gets to the final third, there isn't that striker who's able to finish things up and put Chelsea in positions where they're supposed to be. And Chelsea has now brought in Jackson and Delap, who has taken up the number 9 shirt and is more likely to be Chelsea's starting striker next season. But rumors go that Maresca still fancies Nicholas Jackson, and probably the game of Delap might elevate Jackson's aggression towards the game and even push him to limits where he has not reached. And the two-striker system might be an option that Maresca might have to go with. But the question is, what will happen to players such as Cole Palmer, who have nailed down that number 10 position, or what we call the second striker creative player position that Palmer occupies? In this video, we explore that and give you in-depth analysis. Before we start, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Jackson and Delap scored 12 goals last season, playing in a relegation team, and a player who's been quite impressive. And what Chelsea expect from him is his box presence. They expect that his physicality and his dribbling will be good for what Maresca wants to do with Chelsea. He's a player that Maresca is very familiar with, and before we even understand Jackson and Delap's role and Jackson's role, the question is, how does Maresca want to play? Maresca has preferred playing Chelsea in a 4-2-3-1 structure. And this 4-2-3-1 structure has been quite unique, with only using a single number 9 forward, who in most cases has been Nicholas Jackson. Maresca's wingers are different in that they start out high and wide, while his attacking midfielders are the ones who pick up the inside forward position, which we call the half space position, with Maresca's team looking to form that W in attack to stretch the opposition's backline horizontally and vertically. This creates a lot of problems since the opposition backline is forced to play quite narrow, while Maresca inverts one fullback in midfield so that he can have a rest defense of a 3-2 and a 5 triton in attack. And this has enabled Chelsea to dominate the ball and even create better XG. But because of this 4-2-3-1 structure, we have seen the introduction of Jackson and Delap into the team. And the question is, will Maresca prefer to use both of them in the game? And how can Maresca use both Jackson and Delap? One way Maresca can use them is by using Jackson as a left winger in this case, looking to utilize Jackson's dribbling ability and pace to take on his fullback, a position and a role that Jackson has played, and looking to have a fullback overlapping together with Nicholas Jackson. But the question is, can Jackson play as this wide winger who likes to stay wide, hold the touchline, and look to draw players away, especially the fullback, and then look to link up with players such as Fernandes? In my opinion, Jackson is that left winger who is playing when he's looking to cut inside, and this might inhibit him to excel from that wide left wing position because that pushes him further and further away from goal. And this might actually create problems for Chelsea when it comes to trying to get the stability they need in attack. Now the question is, how advantageous can this be having Jackson in the left wing? Having Jackson in the left wing might be great for Chelsea because now they have two dominant, strong players who the centre backs and the midfielders can play balls over the top, and they can actually win those balls and look to help Chelsea progress. Alternatively, Maresca might decide to move into a two-striker system by deploying both Delap and Jackson as the two twin nines. Now, during build-up, this might be very good for Chelsea because now Chelsea will look to go just direct rather than playing through the middle. And this might see Chelsea be so lethal when it goes direct because they have two aerial targets who they can look to play the ball to and who can look to try and draw defenders out of position. And Jackson sometimes has looked quite great receiving the ball with the back, with his back to goal. And this might make him receive the ball and look to play the ball, especially to a poacher like Delap, who can now look to be making runs beyond that backline and actually try to attempt shots and probably score goals. And this is quite problematic because teams have identified how to play against this system. They have even dropped into a back three or looked to drop a midfielder deeper. But this again can create an avenue for Chelsea where they can look to play balls over the top for left wingers who can carry the ball forward and look to try and progress the team higher up the pitch and probably even find themselves in situations where they can cross the ball. And this can give Chelsea that much needed advantage during the build-up situations. But this flat four might also force the opposition team to play quite deeper, even sometimes looking to play in a rigid 4-4-2. And this is where the problems are going to come for Chelsea because Chelsea have always found it problematic to break down deep, stubborn blocks. Having a player such as Cole Palmer out wide will actually kill off Cole Palmer's creativity because now the opposition will double down on him, limiting and kicking and actually leaving Palmer out of the game. The positions where you want Palmer to play is in that inside forward position. But if he plays in that position, then he has to have Reece James overlapping on the other side. And having two strikers in the box, Reece James can actually be looking to cross the ball and have targets inside the box. But the thing here is Maresca does not want to use a conventional fullback. The other problem is down the left-hand side where you don't have Fernandes in that position. Jackson will be looking to play in that shoulder of the last defender, making the half-space position be vacant and players like Neto not having options when it comes to receiving the ball out wide. And therefore, you really like a player like Fernandes to be the one occupying that position. And since Fernandes will be the one occupying that position, it means one thing, that Maresca will have to either choose to sacrifice one of the strikers or come up with a system where one plays in the Champions League, the other one plays in the league. Encourage competition because that is something that is heavily needed. Without the ball, yes, both of the strikers are very aggressive, and that is an advantage because both Delap and Jackson press intensely, and Jackson can have an intense presser alongside him. But the question now comes in midfield because you don't have a midfielder like Palmer who understands where to sit when the ball is not available and how Delap is not quite intelligent in his pressing. Chelsea might find it problematic when the opposition is able to play through the midfield because they outnumber them because the opposition have an extra midfielder in this structure. Also, when Chelsea are looking to defend in that 4-4-2 block, the two strikers might seem isolated from the rest of the team. And teams such as Manchester City, Arsenal, Aston Villa, who like to have that box midfield, will automatically outnumber players such as Caicedo and Fernandes. And this might make, once the striker have been bypassed, it might make it so easy for the opponents to create a lot of havoc for Chelsea and even create situations where they are dominating the ball against Chelsea. But look at this scenario when you have Cole Palmer. Palmer will be very intelligent, allowing Chelsea to play in that 4-4-1-1 structure, with even players such as Noni Madueke stepping out, ready to press the wide centre backs or the wide full backs. And also having a player like Palmer in this position, once Chelsea win the ball, he can easily create through counters. Now, the two-striker system is something that is going to give Maresca a headache. And it's a tactic that Maresca can use probably when Chelsea are a goal down next season and it's towards the latter stages of the game and you just need to have a lot of bodies inside the box and have at least two strikers inside the box. Jackson's misses are something that have really costed Chelsea. And Chelsea are just one striker away from actually even challenging for the Premier League title, because when you look at it, some of the chances that are actually being missed are just chances that you wonder. These are points that Chelsea have dropped, which they should have actually won. Easy points that Chelsea should have won, but Chelsea haven't won them because Chelsea have lacked a clinical striker. Chances where you expect a very clinical striker will actually do something about it and put Chelsea in very good situations. We have seen Nicholas Jackson even missing sitters. We have seen Nicholas Jackson's poor heading ability inside the box. And this has costed Chelsea points. This has costed Chelsea goals. This has costed Chelsea's positions in semi-finals and finals. And when you look at this, you realize that if you have a striker like Giroud, if you have a striker who's aerially dominant, if you have a striker like a Victor Osimhen, then these are not some of the things that you're going to come across, because you have a striker who's very quick with his ball. His instinct as a striker inside the box are so quick, rather than having a striker who is just missing. And yes, strikers do miss chances, but sometimes it becomes even boring because you have an opportunity to score, you have a lot of space, your teammates have given you the ball in very good positions, you have a position where you can actually score a goal, and you realize that these misses that Jackson has had have costed Chelsea even positions. Like when you look at majority of these chances, they are from last season, and some of these games we drew or we lost. And we lost because we did not capitalize on our chances. So something that I'm really happy about is that even the board has noticed that this is a huge problem that Chelsea have faced. Now, the signing of Delap is going to try and alleviate some of these problems. And one of those problems is actually having a competition for Nicholas Jackson. And this can be a way of improving Jackson's overall game. Another thing that I have to say is that Chelsea need to at least get an experienced striker. Not that that striker is supposed to come in and play. No. That striker is supposed to come in and teach these strikers how they're supposed to actually look to try and move with the ball, look to try and create, look to try and dominate, look to try and head the ball, because it's quite clear that Chelsea are not actually training their strikers quite well, because you can't just have a striker whose improvement, whose decision making in the team is not improving season after season. And the question is, will the 4-4-2 be something that Maresca might explore? I've done a video on Pep Guardiola and how Guardiola is looking to try and explore that system. Because if you have that system, then probably you have two strikers inside the box. And when I look at it, Delap is more lethal inside the box compared to Nicholas Jackson. Though I know his heading is not quite the best, but when it comes to inside the box, his shooting and everything, I like it. I like it. And that's why I've said even in my live stream that I am really impressed and I am looking forward to see how Delap is going to cope when he's playing against a team that is, and players who are going to create tons and tons of opportunities for him. You're going to have players like Cole Palmer. And one thing I also like about Delap is the way he shoots. And I've said this even in my analysis. I like a striker who has that power. You know, I missed having players who have this strength when it comes to shooting. The strength that Frank Lampard used to offer us. And if we are going to get a striker who's quick with his feet, then automatically Chelsea will look to be very strong. This is a striker who probably can gain Chelsea 15 points next season. Imagine Chelsea gaining 15 points from 69 points. You have 84 points. You're even at par with teams like Liverpool. So that is what I have to say about this game. Thank you very much. And do you think that the 4-4-2 is something that Enzo Maresca should explore? Leave your comments in the comment section area below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.